Wanted to get your current take right now of not only the Fed's positioning that could be playing out in the next 6 weeks, but how this may affect, at least right now, Bitcoin overall.
Yeah, so I think number one, the Fed minutes that came out last week, the market was a little shocked the Fed wasn't more dovish. They seemed very, very hawkish, and that's really where we topped out in the equity market. So we've seen that pull back now. We've two pretty big sharp down days, Friday and today. And now the question is, again, where do we go? So I think for Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin is kind of trying to figure that out as well. And in fact, we can go to the Bitcoin chart here. Let me bring that up so we can take a look. But basically, we broke down below this channel. So this was a bearish kind of channel, perfectly parallel lower line and upper line. And you can see on Friday when we had the big market sell-off, it did break. So that's a little bit of a concern. It's not the end-all be-all, though, because you're still holding above the 2017 highs. So this is going to be a big test now for Bitcoin. Does Bitcoin come down? Does it tag it and bounce? Or do we start to break lower? And again, for that, you have to look at the DXY, the dollar. I think the dollar is hugely important here. The dollar has been screaming to the upside. I do have it penciled in that we have a nice double top here, so I expect a pullback in the dollar, and that may save Bitcoin in the near term. I think for me, at least when it comes to Bitcoin, I think that Bitcoin still has a small chance to make one more push up. It almost seems too easy. And you know, I'm a kind of a contrarian trader where, you know, we've broken down the Bitcoin chart, never really had a big spike that got everyone on board on the bullish side. A lot of people were bullish, but not to the extent that usually signals a reversal in trend. So I am kind of curious if we see that. And I agree. I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin's price today, it's only down a little bit. In fact, the equity markets are down percentage-wise more than Bitcoin, which is somewhat on the rarer side, especially when the dollar is as strong as it is. So I don't know if we can look at that right now and say, oh, that's actually a strong indicator for Bitcoin, but it very well could signal maybe a little bit of upside still left in Bitcoin's tank before it finally rolls over. So I think it's important to understand, you know, I'm not debating whether or not Bitcoin's going to go lower. I do believe it does. The question is when. And that's going to be key here. Do we get one more push up, retest 25, maybe get to 28, or is it done now and just kind of going to that 12 to 13,000 range? Yeah, so I think the CPI will continue to move a little bit lower or will grind a little bit lower. I think, again, you're seeing how the producer price index side was the leading indicator for the consumer prices, right? So we saw very early on that the producers, the people that manufacture, the companies that manufacture, their inflation was starting to kind of come down a little bit. That should get passed to the consumer a little bit as well. My biggest fear, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, is that I think everyone's expecting it to go to 2% or below, like the Fed says. I don't think it does that, and I think that's your big issue later in the year. So later in the year, early 2023, the market starts to realize that inflation's stuck at 4 or 5% per year. And when we get to a point, whether it's this year, the next year, the year after that, when you have a recession, we know that recessions are inevitable. How does the Fed get us out of that this time when they can't print money? And that's the scary thing. And I think that's where, whenever that is, that's where you see the bottom in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin finally starts to turn back up and say, okay, now we have a new scenario. The Fed's not bailing us out. Inflation's not coming down. Buy something like a Bitcoin, continue to accumulate gold.
That's it for today, guys. If you found this video useful, then don't forget to like the video and share this knowledge with your friends and family. And don't forget to check out the full video, link is in the description. Thank you.